Hey everyone, I wanted to just do a little quick video about a mini book haul that I got at the weekend because I was out and about yesterday around some of the charity shops and came home with about 8 different books. So as I've said before on this channel, I don't just talk about newly published books. I read widely, so I read all sorts of genres, and I read books maybe which have been published 20 years ago or beyond, or I might be reading books which are published 5 years ago. You know, we all discover books at different times of our lives, so I might be chatting about a book which you've read 10 years ago and sort of wonder, why am I just reading this now? Alternatively, I could be chatting about a book that you haven't heard of before, and hopefully, you know, you might discover some new titles as well. So that's what I love about charity shops in particular, because you can discover books that you've always been meaning to read but have just never actually get round to reading. You might discover completely new books that you've never heard of, and you're bound to find some classics that have always been on your TBR and that you finally get to put on your bookshelf. So without further ado, if I stop my rambling, the first book I actually want to share with you, well, it's a couple of books. It's a book that I got a family member at Christmas time, and it's The Secret Diary of Hendrick, Growin, 83 and a quarter years old. So I thought this sounded quite fun. It's about a guy called Hendrick Growin, obviously, who is an octogenarian. He lives in a care home, and it's quite a humorous take on his life in the care home and how he doesn't want to just, you know, just because he's old, he doesn't want to roll over and, you know, give up on life. He sounds quite fun, and he gets up to all sort of antics in the care home. Obviously, I think it's quite poignant. The feedback I'm getting from my family is that it's quite a poignant book as well, because obviously it's about older people living in a care home. It's not all, you know, balloons and cake, but yeah, it sounds like it's really going to be really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I didn't realise he had actually published a sequel to it, On the Bright Side, which is a signed copy, I do believe. Yep, so nice, always nice to have a signed book. So again, I just saw this in the new year, and I picked it up because I knew that they enjoyed the first book, but I've borrowed both of them now, so I've been told that this is equally as good as the first one, so I'm looking forward to reading those pretty soon. I have so many books to read. So on to my little book haul from the weekend. The first 2 books are actually children's books, and they were actually published in 2017. So I was quite surprised, because you don't always, well, no, you do get books, new books. Some people just buy a book, read it and put it in the charity shop, which is great for people like me. So the first book is A Place Called Perfect, and it is by Helena Dugan. And this was actually, I think, a Waterstones Book of the Month when it was published last year, and it had there's quite a lot of hype around it. So I'm looking forward to reading it. I really like the cover, and it's about a little girl called Violet, who basically has to move to a town called Perfect, where she doesn't want to move to, because apparently they have to wear glasses to stop them going blind. And there are these guys called the Watchers who are obviously watching them, and they have a bit of a creepy secret that she obviously is going to uncover throughout the book. And she discovers there's something weird going on in the town. She keeps hearing strange voices. Her mum is acting strange. Her dad has disappeared. She meets Boy and realises that yeah, her dad isn't the only person that's disappeared. So yeah, it sounds good, and I'm looking forward to reading that. The next book has a really lovely cover. It's called Letters from the Lighthouse by Emma Carroll. And also, for those of you who are, you know, really bibliophiles like myself and love a good book cover, you will like to know that it has lovely raised lettering. It feels like velvet, and it's just really, really nice. So this is a book I haven't actually heard of. It was published last year. She's been compared to Michael Morpurgo and Philip Pullman, which is a really good thing. And it's set in 1941. Again, this is a children's book, and it's about a little girl called Olive. Her sister goes missing. It's obviously during the war. London is unsafe, and she is evacuated with her brother to Devon, where they stay with a mysterious lighthouse keeper, which sounds really good. So Olive must solve a mystery of her own, a strange coded note which seems to link her sister Suki to Devon and to something dark and impossibly dangerous. So it sounds good. I'm looking forward to reading that. So I will let you know how that goes. Now, the next book is one that I'm sure a lot of people have read, because it was published a few years ago. When was it published? 2011. So I'm not too late to the party, but it's one of those books where it was, yeah, a bit of a bestseller. Lots of book groups were talking about it at the time, and probably most of you will have read it. But it's called When God Was a Rabbit, and it's by Sarah Winman. So yeah, again, I sort of picked it up because I heard good things about it when it was published, and also because it's just a book that's, you know, I've come across a lot over the past few years, but I've never actually read it. So I thought when I saw it, I'll buy it and hopefully it will be good. So if you don't know what it's about, I'm just going to read you the blurbs of these books because I can't really remember myself what they're all about. This is a book about a brother and a sister. It's a book about childhood and growing up, friendships and families, triumph and tragedy, and everything in between. More than anything, it's a book about love in all its forms. So yeah, I sort of like books that don't really tell you much about what they're about because, as we know, I don't like spoilers. So I'm interested to see what it's like and if it lives up to all the rave reviews. Because as we know, sometimes books live up to all those reviews and sometimes they don't. So we shall see. The next book is one that I haven't heard of at all, but it's sort of, the title intrigued me, it caught my attention, and it sounds good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this, and it's called The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Diffenbow. Gosh, I'm not very good at saying surnames. But yes, The Language of Flowers. So I think it's about a girl who, she spent her childhood in the foster care system, and her only connection to the world is through flowers and their meanings. So she's now 18, she's got nowhere to go, she's basically homeless. She plants a garden of her own, and a florist discovers her, and basically I think she starts to work for this florist. She communicates to people basically through the language of flowers. She meets a mysterious vendor at the flower market. I think it's maybe possibly some sort of a love story. She's forced to confront a painful secret from her past and decide whether it's worth risking everything for a second chance at happiness. So yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I'm not really one, although it's sort of hard to avoid, I suppose, in a lot of books, the love story type thing. I don't mind if there's love stories in books as long as that's not the main focus of it. You know, sometimes it's done really well. I just don't like really, really soppy things. But this sounds interesting. I don't think it is going to be like one of those books. So yeah, I'll feed back on this one as well, and we'll see how it goes. Now, the next book is a rather hefty one, and again, it's a classic. I've got a couple of classics here. So it's vintage Grimm's Fairy Tales, the Complete Collection, which is a fairly big collection. I just realised when I saw it, I don't actually have a complete collection of the Grimm's Fairy Tales, so I thought I should get this. I do have quite a lot in my bookcases scattered about, lots of different books and fairy tales. I've got Hans Christian Andersen, just looking at my bookcase over here, and I'm pretty sure I've got some of the Grimm tales somewhere and mixed up in other anthologies and things like that, but when I saw this whole collection, it was just $2.99, I just thought, well, I'm going to get that. So it's probably something I'll dip in and out of, and I think I have to be in the mood for these sorts of fairy tales sometimes. I really like them, but it's probably a one that I'm going to dip in and out of, but I'm glad that I picked it up, so I'll add it to my collection. The final book now is another classic that people either love or they hate. It's one that I've always meant to read. I haven't read it, and so when I saw it, I thought I should get it, and it's Ulysses by James Joyce. I was quite pleased as well that I quite like the fact it's a trade paperback size, so I like, you know, that it's sort of a bigger sort of paperback, and yeah, I like James Joyce. I haven't read very much of his work. I did read The Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. I really enjoyed that. A bit like Virginia Woolf, I like his writing style. Hi everyone, so this is Future Claire coming to finish off the video because I was in the middle of chatting about Ulysses and the battery ran out on my camera. So if it's not lack of memory, it's battery problems with my technologies. There's always something. Anyway, I just wanted to wrap up the video properly and finish off what I was saying. As I say, I'm looking forward to reading Ulysses at some point. I think I was in the middle of saying that I do like James Joyce. I've read one of his books before. I like Virginia Woolf. I like that whole stream of consciousness narrative, but I think you have to be in the mood for it. I mean, as we all know, Ulysses is a book that many have struggled with, so I think it's not an imminent read, but I'm glad that I have it so I can get stuck in at some stage. I also, as I say, like the format of the book. I like that it's a trade paperback. The writing is fairly tiny, and it's a nice size of a book. I don't mind larger books, larger paperbacks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. Anyway, that's the end of my little wrap up with my charity shop book haul. Let me know in the comments below if you also like going around charity shops and finding books. If you don't, then get on that, because it's such a good way to find all sorts of really great books for great prices, and you're helping charity at the same time. Let me know if you found any really interesting titles, and I will chat to you soon in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.